At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, everybody, happy Friday. Let's do this. We've got a ton of stuff to cover. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Whoa, wrong screen there. Yo, what's up? Hey, get over there, lighting. There you go. All right. Welcome. Now, first off, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. All that wonderful stuff. It is Flamingo Friday. I don't know why the Flamingo Friday, I don't know why it's not showing up on the screen here. Hang on just a second. My gosh. Hang on just a second. We're gonna correct this mistake here really quick. We're gonna get this on the screen. Hang on just a second. Where's it at? Oh my goodness. Where is it? I'm not seeing my my overlay. There it is. Okay. Did that fix it? There it is. All right. Now it makes sense as to why my wardrobe is mismatching like crazy. I've got the black hat, the flamingo shirt on, and this is my lucky Celtics shirt. So it's old, it's tattered, the sleeves are worn off. I think I've had this shirt, I don't know, for like 8 years or something. It's kind of crazy. I've had it way too long. All right. Yeah. Like, share, subscribe. So much to discuss in this one. A lot to talk about. Shout out to Patreon supporters. I have some ideas for some more Patreon content coming out, hopefully soon, before the end of the month at least. The Patreon page, make sure you guys that are Patreon subscribers, make sure you're going to the Patreon page and checking that out, okay? Do me a favor. Make sure you're checking that out, at least here in the near future, all right? Not today. There's nothing new there yet, but in the near future. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company located, well, Central Arkansas and Northwest Arkansas, they've got you covered. They offer same-day services, emergency service 24/7, 365 days a year, free estimates, quality parts, and affordable outcomes. Give them a call at 501-244-3667. Again, that's Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company. And the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzaria. Great staff, great environment, local IPAs, great pies, you name it, man. It's just a wonderful environment. Hey, man, you've got nothing better to do later tonight when the Razorbacks are playing Game 2 against Vanderbilt. They're going to have the games on, I'm sure, down at the Odd Soul. So shout out to the sponsors. All right. pull up all my my. I don't know how far I have to scroll here on my private little show server on Discord. All right, we have Quincey McAdoo news. We're going to talk about that. We've got some recruiting updates. We got a recruiting update coming up. Auburn's Jarquez Hunter involved in something scandalous. It's scandalous. And it could be pretty big for Auburn football, potentially. We'll see. We've also got NCAA, what used to be known as NCAA college football from Electronic Arts, from EA. We got some news on that as well, and we're also going to discuss, Arkansas and Vanderbilt a little bit. We're going to kind of go into what it looks like in the forecast, looking for them. Hopefully Arkansas might be able to come out of Nashville with more than just a series win. So let's see. Let me read. No Flamingo on Flamingo Friday. This will not stand. Yeah, we got it corrected. We got it up on the screen. Hola, senor. What's up, Austin? How you doing? Mike and them. Cameron Gray. What up, John Hawes? How you doing? What I'm hearing now is we need a Flamingo Friday hat. Don't act like I don't sit there and pretend like you think that didn't cross my mind, because it absolutely has, Austin, and you're right. I think I need to do something about that. Now that I'm back from Wyoming, I can participate. Good to have you back, man. Good to have you back. Are they going to be on ESPN? So tonight, from what I understand, it's on the SEC Network main channel. We know we'll get into that later, but yeah, it is. Vanderbilt and Arkansas should be on the SEC main channel. All right, McAdoo. Let's start there. Quincey McAdoo, rather Sam Pittman, I should say. Sam Pittman, he's on the One Razorback Road show on behalf of the University of Arkansas. On Wednesday, was asked about McAdoo, where this is what he said. Quincey's doing a lot better. I believe he's going to be home in Clarendon by Friday. Got a lot of work to do. If anybody can get back on track as fast as the good Lord will let him, he's going to get that. He's improved so much. I'm so proud of him. He's going to get back ready to go at some point. McAdoo, as far as I know, has not been released. The accident occurred nearly 20 days ago. It sounds like he's supposed to today. I guess he's expected to be out. I guess he's still in the hospital. I don't know why that's not more clear at the moment, or maybe I've just not seen that part. It's not like I went in Googling McAdoo in the hospital. I just really wanted to see what Sam Pittman had to say about his circumstances about playing in 2024. So as far as I know, it sounds like he's supposed to be out today. When asked, Pittman didn't seem super into the idea of McAdoo playing in 2023. His response to the question about his availability for the season: no, I think right now we're just worried about him getting back healthy, which yes does matter the most. And then we'll go from there. But he's going to get back healthy. He's a McAdoo, is what Sam said. So obviously, it's not looking great for him to return in 2023. This is obviously, listen, again, I want to make this perfectly clear. Whether we're talking on the field injuries or off the field, this obviously was a wreck. I guess it happened right outside the tunnel, if I read that right. I guess this accident happened not far outside of not too far down I-49 from here. So the most important thing is he's healthy. Now, in reference to the season, this is a blow. This is a big blow. This is, I can't tell you how big I think this actually is. Now, I've been putting together, and if you haven't watched it yet, I have a video on Arkansas ceiling in 2023. I'd been kind of compiling that video for a while. Didn't have enough time to fully digest the McAdoo situation. Do I think that cuts into their ceiling? Yeah, I mean, how could it not? But I'm still going to tell you, I still think Arkansas ceiling, and spoiler alert, but I do think it is what I state in that video. I don't think I don't think it's going to cut into that ceiling a lot, enough to where I come down off of the expectations I have, just in terms of their ceiling. And keep in mind, ceiling doesn't equate to what I believe is how they're going to finish. So I could have them at 6 wins. You don't know. I mean, like when we really start to do a deep dive, and when I do officially put out my projected win and losses totals, my win-loss totals, I could say, you know what, yeah, their ceiling's 10, but I see them at 7 and 5. I see them at 6 and 6. I see them at 8 and 4. I mean, you never know, right? I mean, but I do think their ceiling is 10. I still think the ceiling should stay there. Now, will this have an impact on my actual total of wins? It could. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It could. It's going to be tough because what McAdoo accomplished in such a short amount of time was nothing short of unbelievable. He was incredible. I mean, he had an instant impact in the secondary. Now, I don't think once they figured out we need to move Hudson Clark over to middle safety, and they got McAdoo in there, you started to see some adjustments in the secondary, but they still had a couple of just glaring issues in the secondary. One of them was Simeon Blair, without a doubt. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Blair, and I don't like trashing kids, I really don't, but Blair struggled immensely, and it made it really easy. And he wasn't the only one. Let's not sit here and act like Blair was the sole arbiter or the only reason why that secondary was bad. I read where or someone had pointed out, I don't remember if this was on Bertuccini's show or if this was on the Morning Rush, but someone had pointed out the linebacker cover skills was just not – they were horrible. Like the cover skills from the linebackers, from one of the linebackers. And that may have something to do with Bumper Pool being injured. And, Drew Sanders, they really liked lining up off the ball and blitzing him, sending him after the quarterback. Sometimes you kind of make those sacrifices. I'm not saying that I buy into that, by the way. I'm not saying that it is on the linebackers' ability to cover a portion of the field, especially if you're playing any zone coverage. Like your responsibility is that area in zone coverage. And maybe their reaction timing was really bad, really off, and it cost them. Listen, it's not like teams didn't find multiple soft spots in the secondary, and that includes where the linebackers cover as well, where Simeon Blair's at on the field. They had some issues, but McAdoo certainly helped out. It was a strength when McAdoo was lined up. You moved Hudson Clark over to middle safety. Things started to get a little bit better. We know they had this on and off issue with Slusher. He got in trouble off the field with a situation that happened on Dixon Street. I've talked about that. That obviously played a pretty big role into it as well. Slusher not being available all the time, and then he also had to deal with injuries, not having Kel'el on, et cetera, et cetera. But Blair was a problem. Hudson Clark lining up at corner was a problem, and then they slowly started to solve those things, and they still had issues. So, all right. Fast forward now, Quincey McAdoo. Let's get back to that. In terms of 2023, what do you do now? Let's just assume, and I think that this is a safe assumption, McAdoo isn't available in 2023. McAdoo, remember, he started in 4 games at cornerback after moving from wide receiver. If you guys recall, he made that move, and it was nothing short of incredible. What do you have going on at corner? The guys in the secondary. We're not going to talk about the safeties, but we will talk about nickel and the left and right corner spots. At nickel, you have Walcott, the transfer out of Baylor. Pretty good-sized kid, 6'2", like 220 pounds. He's going to probably end up being your starter at the nickel. We'll see how that looks. Dallas Young, I think, is in competition there along with Jalen Lewis. Then you have the actual corner positions. Now, McAdoo lined up at multiple spots in the secondary, but primarily at what was considered the right cornerback position. Now, at left cornerback, you're looking at Dwight McLaughlin, who is a potential draft pick in this secondary. I'm not going to say how high, but I certainly believe that Dwight McLaughlin is going to be he's going to get drafted, I believe. If I recall, his PFF grade was respectable as well, if I remember right. Now, I haven't looked in a little bit, but behind number 16, Jalen Braxton. R.J. Johnson could switch over between left and right corner. And then at right corner, you're going to have R.J. Johnson and Ladarius Bishop. You had Quincey McAdoo. Do the Razorbacks, and here's what I think here's the possibilities. Bishop, he started. Let's not forget, not that long ago, he was considered one of the top 5 fastest athletes on the roster. This guy has some speed. He had some moves. Locked down the corner spot for a brief time, then he ended up losing it. If I remember right, he actually lost the battle to Hudson Clark. He improved. In fact, he had an interception, I think, in the spring game, if I remember right. I think he was the one that came down with one of the interceptions. I think he did improve. Is he going to end up taking McAdoo's spot? Is Bishop the guy that's going to take that spot? Or a certain prospect we haven't got to see yet. He's already been redshirted from Georgia, former 5-star corner Jaheim Singletary, 6'1", 180-pound redshirt freshman corner. Is there a possibility that he comes in fall camp and takes that spot? Now, we assume he's got 5 stars next to his name. I don't know if he was a unanimous 5-star. I always forget to check that. I think he was at least a 5-star according to 247, or maybe it was the composite. Anyways, highly sought-after player that all you need to know, Georgia was all in on Singletary. This is what I know and what I've heard talking to some Georgia folks. They are really high on Singletary. If someone like Quincey McAdoo, who is a wide receiver out of high school, who's recruited to play wide receiver, talking to guys like Otis Kirk and a couple other people that I've talked to who actually got to see him play in person, he was probably a better corner than he was a wide receiver, or at the very least as good as a corner. But if someone like that can walk in more than halfway after the season's already done and over with, did not participate during fall camp or the previous or at least fall camp, did not participate as a corner. If he can walk in and knock the doors down and become like almost, I would argue, I don't know if I want to say he was a star in the secondary, but have the kind of impact that he ended up having. If someone like that can do it, why can't Jaheim Singletary? Bishop, I kind of feel like hit his ceiling, but you never know, right? I think he's had some injuries along the way and some other, he's someone that I would love to see take that next step. I had high hopes for Bishop a couple of years ago. I really thought he could take off, and he just didn't, and he ended up getting beat out. There's also R.J. Johnson, who's a true freshman. He's also a long-bodied. Something that's pretty common in the secondary. They're all like 6'2", 6'1.5", 6'2". Some are, you've got Hudson Clark, who's going to be 6'2.5", 6'3" at safety. Your nickel starter, projected starter, Walcott, who's 6'2.5", 220 pounds. Dwight McLaughlin, 6'2", 190. Jaheim Singletary is about 6'1", 6'2", 175 pounds. You got these lengthy corners. I'm going to tell you something. There was a time when corners on average were like 5'10", 5'11", maybe 6 foot. But you're seeing more and more taller corners. You're seeing taller guys in the secondary. But obviously Sam Pittman likes these guys that are tall. You look at the wide receivers. They're all, I bet your average size in the wide receiver room, something like 6'3.5". They are, especially with Broden in there with his what is he, 6'6", 6'7", whatever. But you've got a lot of youth here. Again, Braxton's a true freshman. R.J. Johnson's a true freshman. Jaheim Singletary is a redshirt freshman. Dallas Young is a freshman. Jalen Lewis is a redshirt freshman. There's a lot of opportunities here. Someone can step out. I think Dallas Young actually played – he played corner in high school, if I recall. You've got, again, Jalen Lewis, who's 6 foot, 6'1", 190 pounds, redshirt freshman, number 21. So, yeah, there's all kinds of options here, but I kind of wonder if Jaheim Singletary doesn't step in. Now, he's at a pretty big disadvantage, as I already stated. He wasn't here during spring camp. He wasn't here. He's already behind the gun a little bit. He's going to have to come in and talent his way up the depth chart. And I don't know that we're even going to have an answer as to who the long-term corner is to take that spot until maybe you get ready for LSU. It could take 2 or 3 weeks. You could see kind of a revolving door at that position. We don't really, I hate to say this, because last spring we came out of this thinking, oh, well, Sam Pittman says they're pretty deep. Sam Pittman says they're pretty deep at corner. And then that turned out to not be to not be true. They were actually really thin at corner. Okay, let me pull up here. Let me pull up what you guys are saying in chat. By the way, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Yo, what up, Ty? What's up, Scott? How you doing, man? We may need to schedule an exorcism soon to rid us of this athletic program-wide injury bug on the hill. I can supply the live chicken if someone can bring the cigars, rum, and firecrackers. We're gonna need we're gonna have to do some kind of ritual or something on campus. I don't know if it's the Indian, if there's an Indian burial grave somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. Celtics with a puke face. Cameron, I'm not going to hold that against you, but go C's, baby. Go C's. Got to get that dub. Got to get that dub, man. Can't drop 2-0 like the Lakers or go down 0-2. John Hawes says, it may not be as big of a blow as we thought with Snacks and Day-Day and Nudie. I don't know, man, because you have someone who has proven that he's capable in the SEC, and he did it in such a short amount of time. These guys that you just mentioned, you're talking about moving over to the SEC. I'm just telling you, sometimes reality doesn't match the optics. While I do agree, the good news is they have bolstered the secondary. I do agree with that. And like I stated on that video that I released, I love the moves here. Woodson coaching that secondary, guys, that's arguably, I think that's one of the best hires Sam has made since being the head hog, or could potentially be. On paper, it certainly looks that way when you look at what he did at Florida State. Last year they were a top 5 secondary. They gave up something like 170 yards a game through the air. They ended up first in the ACC in yards allowed. They were in the secondary, in the passing game. They were incredible. If there's a time where you're gonna have something like this that could be significant. Imagine this injury pre-transfer portal era, and in my opinion, without Coach Woodson coaching your secondary. You talk about catastrophic. It definitely would have. I think it would have been a pretty big blow at the very least. Now you feel like because of the portal, because of who's lined up with all the newness going on the defensive side of the ball, the potential is there. Now, I also want to make this perfectly clear. I'm not saying their defense is going to be night and day different. I don't know. I'm not someone who likes to live in that world of, well, this is for sure what's going to happen. Now, in my KJ Jefferson video, I kind of do that in the end. I'm kind of telling you, like, oh, no, I think he's going to be possibly a top four round draft pick. He could be somewhere between the 4th and 1st round. I hesitate heavily on him being a top 3, top 4 quarterback taken, but the potential is there, and with lining up with Dan Enos. But that's, again, that video is out there. You can go watch it. You can hear what I have to say on the matter. But I'm not someone who typically lives in that world because I've got to see it. I've got to have the evidence in front of me. My wife can attest to this. It drives her crazy. I need evidence, if you have a significant claim, you have to have significant evidence, so on and so forth. I know that's not the exact saying, but I don't know. I do think that Sam saw an issue and addressed it, or made an attempt to address the issue, which is what's going on in the secondary in regards to what happened a year ago, giving up all these yards. You finish bottom 2 in the SEC in passing yards allowed. Horrible. Barry Odom, I don't care. I'm going to say it. No, the guy never lived up to his salary. I'm sorry. I'm honestly happy they've made the move. Did they make the right hire with Travis Williams and making Woodson the co-DC? I don't know. But after 3 years, you had to do something. Now, of course, Odom I don't know if Odom saw the writing on the wall and him and Pittman had a conversation. Hey, go be a head coach at UNLV. Go do your thing. Or who was the other school? Was it Tulsa? Go be a head coach at one of these schools. I'm going to be rooting for you. I don't know how that went down. I'm going to hope that Sam had the conversation with him. We're going to have to go in a different direction, but I don't want to fire you. So now you're rolling the dice with this next hire and the new set of hires. you've got a whole new, you lost a pretty good linebacker coach in the process, right? And Odom, who's a big name amongst defensive coordinators. I was all about the hire in the beginning. Who wouldn't be? He had a reputation for having some really stout defenses in his time, but unfortunately, we never saw it. So imagine this type of injury. Imagine this type of injury in the Odom era. I mean, his secondaries were never any good. They were never any good. I mean, I think year one, you have to factor in it was 20 games. It's hard to take anything that happened in 2020 series. 2021, half the year, they were great, and then they kind of fell apart. So I'm glad that something like this happened at the time that it happened. Unfortunately, of course you don't want this to happen. A young man's career is going to take a hit for it, but at least currently. All right. Nudie bought a Mercedes the other day, I believe. That NIL treating them right. I didn't know that. He did. He brought spend your money wisely, kids, please. They were deep at corner, just shallow on the quality. Yeah, if you're talking about last year, well, I don't know if they were really even deep, even either way you want to look at that. I think they were, I mean, he said coming out of not in 2023, but in 2022, he felt like he could go too deep at any position in the secondary, and that obviously wasn't. They couldn't do it. I don't watch the NBA. I had to just give you crap. Oh, okay. All right, Cameron. Well, you never know, man. People always taking shots at my Celtics or my Cardinals. Cardinals are starting to turn it around, baby. I don't know for how long, but by God, at least for now, they're winning. I hate it for McAdoo. Hopefully he has speedy recovery. Yeah, Trey, I agree. Me too, man. I hate it for him because I think he was a little bit dinged up through spring camp, and then he came back, and and the projections for the secondary were really high, and my optimism for the recovery of the secondary was really high. Nothing's a given. Just because you have these guys that test out well, that look pretty good at Baylor or wherever these kids are coming from, or whoever was a former 5-star, it's not a given that you're just going to plug that spot. But I think it's likely, or at the very least probable, that the loss of McAdoo can at least be absorbed, and who knows, maybe even better. Now, unfortunately, we have a small sample size, right? McAdoo only played in four however many games last year, but boy, did he have an impact, right? Ty, I mentioned Hogs would be fine, but I worry about our pitching. Yeah, well, again, Charles, we're going to save that for later. We're going to be closing the show out with baseball. I think we'll be fine at corner with the TCU transfer. Yeah, they got the TCU transfer. That's right. They did. They attacked the secondary. How about them Cardinals making a run right now after an awful start? That was some of the worst. I tried watching a couple of games, and it was so bad. It was just ugly, ugly, ugly baseball. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Now they're knocking the snot out of the ball, and it's actually fun to watch. It's always – listen, I can watch the Cardinals even if they're not doing so great. I got this hair. I got a hair in my mouth. Ugh. My hair's falling out, y'all. All right, let's move on. Quincey McAdoo, it sucks. Thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. We know this has got to be tough. But like Sam said, he's a strong kid. And I've heard nothing but good things about him. I'm not going to go into the details of the accident. There's all sorts of conflicting stuff out there. Listen, man, hopefully he was wearing a seatbelt, and someone had told me he did wear a seatbelt and it may have malfunctioned. If that is the case, we're not going to go into the details. What matters is he's okay, right? That's what matters. He's okay. He's still with us. That's what matters. All right. What are we going on to next here? Recruiting. We got some recruiting news. I tried to put out feelers on what's going on with this running back or this athlete, Jaden Baugh. He's a 4-star running back according to Rivals. He's a 4-star athlete. 247 has him as a 3-star running back, but Arkansas did make his cut a little while back. He was projected to go to Tennessee. I don't know if that's still the case. He's got a lot of offers, and the more you do a little bit of research on this kid, he's got that 6'2", 200-pound frame, can catch the ball out of the back. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. You see why he's an athlete. From what it sounds like, every single one of these offers are legit. He's supposed to announce, I believe, today. And I've also, someone texted me, said, hey, keep an eye on this kid. He's supposed to announce on Friday. Then I did my thing where I start putting out feelers. I start talking to people. I don't know if he's going to commit somewhere today or not, but Arkansas is in the mix, so just keep an eye on Jaden. It's Jaden B-A-U-G-H. Bah. Interesting last name. So keep an eye out on him. He's a 5.84 star according to Rivals, and he's a athlete on Rivals. On 247, he's a 3-star running back. Bad news for Auburn. I know we only focus on Arkansas here with this being a Razorback-focused channel. You know, most of the content here is a little bit of gaming. You know, we put out polls on on your favorite way to play games, whether it was PC or Xbox, Nintendo, or the PS5. Of course, the PS5 is dominating, as it should be. Don't get me wrong. I'm a PC, PS5 guy. I love giving PC elitist a lot of shit, though. It's so funny. But PC is a great way. I mean, if you're gonna play games, nothing wrong with playing some PC. And but PS5 with them exclusives, they're killing it. But we do talk outside of Arkansas athletics sometimes, and this one is interesting. And I'm talking about actual topics. Yeah, we kind of go off script here all the time, and we talk about shows and movies and games and whatnot. But as far as an actual topic, I don't usually go off topic when it comes to the Razorbacks on my script here. But we are on this one. Jarquez Hunter, according to Outkick.com, involved in a explicit video that went public on, I guess, Twitter. Auburn University has issued suspensions for an unknown amount of students, and it turns out it might actually be more student athletes involved, who are allegedly involved in a video that allegedly appears to show junior running back Jarquez Hunter engaging in explicit activities. The indefinite suspensions came from the school, not the athletic department. It all started over the last 48 hours with when multiple videos made the rounds on social media that allegedly showed Hunter engaged in sexual activities. Again, this is coming from Outkick.com. We are aware of the situation and take this matter very seriously. Auburn announced the appropriate offices are conducting a thorough review. Indefinite suspensions have been issued for violation of applicable Auburn Athletic Department's policies. No further comment will be provided at this time. We have an update on this. It looks like Outkick reached out to Auburn spokesperson Jennifer Adams, who noted that the school could not release the names of the people suspended because of campus rules. Also, we have reached out to the Auburn Police Department to inquire if any type of investigation is currently ongoing with its department. In a video that was distributed before the account was locked, it showed someone filming a sexual act involving an unidentified female. The school is currently investigating the matter and how these videos made their way onto social media. It is not known at the time if all parties knew they were being filmed. So we don't know that much. So we don't know. The account that was tweeting the videos went private last night. The person running the account put in their Twitter profile that you could pay them $5 to see the video. This could lead to more potential issues for parties involved. Okay, it's not funny. I shouldn't laugh. That's not funny. If you knew you're being filmed, it's kind of funny. If you didn't know you were being filmed, it's not funny. That's not cool. And hopefully everyone, I think it was consensual, right? I mean, I'm not seeing that it was anywhere where it's being reported where it wasn't consensual. I don't know what indefinite suspension means sometimes, because sometimes it can have a different meaning to certain schools. And I don't know how Auburn handles this. We know that Hunter, who is a big-time player for them, This is a guy that they're expecting some, to have. They're expecting him to have a pretty promising season in 2023. It sounds like there could be more involved. Let's see. AL.com, multiple Auburn athletes given indefinite suspensions. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here. I want to kind of keep up with this, so I'm going to make sure I keep this on my private server in an area where I monitor the stuff that I really want to keep an eye on. Hunter rushed for 675 yards, 7 touchdowns in 2022. He has 1,269 career rushing yards at Auburn. The junior from Montgomery should be a major factor for the Tigers this fall. And again, that's coming from Outkick. So there you go. Hunter got himself in a little bit of possibly in some trouble. Good luck to Darian Ford at State, says Philip. Oh, okay. That, of course. Did that just break? Of course it did. Because of course it did. Why not? Yeah, looks that way. There it is. Darian Ford has committed to Arkansas State. Well, I hope he balls out. Whatever he does, I hope he goes there and he's just ultra successful. Wish him nothing but the best. So, yeah, Darian Ford looks like he is, in fact, headed to Arkansas State. That is him on Twitter. Just verified that about 6 minutes ago. Appreciate all the retweets, by the way, boys. The usual suspects, Austin Foster and John Hawes. Look at you guys. All right. Austin says he's happy about this. He is our Discord Arkansas State / Arkansas fan. I get it. At least it's an in-state school. It's the people it's the people who switch schools. Like, well, I like Arkansas now, but tomorrow I won't because they're not any good. Philip White says they got suspensions, but a Bama player literally contributed to a murder and he played. Damn, that's a bomb drop. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Philip. You're not wrong. Cody James says apparently a handful of Auburn guys got indefinitely suspended from football for some. Yeah. I did mention. We just talked about that. Yeah. Hey, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, please. Make sure we don't have enough likes up. Get the likes up. I know we can do it. As a Northeast Arkansas, I'm glad he's coming to state. Yeah, I'd prefer him to stay in state. And, it's not, you're not going to have to deal with him, right? I'm happy about this move by D Ford. Wait, hold up. Okay. What's next? Boy, we got a lot. I'm telling you guys, we have a lot. All right, we have, for those of you who are big NCAA college football fans, the EA game, we haven't seen it since 2013. NCAA football 14. It's the last game you could play that's college football that's from EA. Big bummer, right? That was a big bummer. I still play it. You can download the revamped. Don't ask me how the hell you do it. I had to have help. You can play revamped. I'm telling you, it's awesome. Revamped is badass. What sucks is going in and, you could download an updated roster, but the good ones don't typically come out until halfway through the season. So if you want to get started now, you could do what I do and just go to our lads. I think it's our lads, and they have roster updates. They're not always accurate, but they're for the most part accurate. So you go down and you fix your roster and try to make it as accurate as possible. But we have big news here. They're moving forward with the NIL. College football players, now this is according to SI, and I think this was actually them, EA talking to ESPN, so a little bit of third-party stuff here going on. But college football players at the FBS level who are eligible will be given the chance to be featured in the upcoming EA Sports College Football video game that is set to debut sometime in 2024. I've heard July, which makes sense. The gaming company confirmed to ESPN While most expected players' likeliness would be featured in the game thanks to the new NIL rules, there were some complications standing in the way. Mostly the game's creators needed a way to pull together the interest of players who pull them into a single licensing effort. See, I didn't proofread the rest of this. And now a group called One Team Partners has been charged with leading that cause, EA said. I think these guys actually worked with the NFLPA or the NFL, the Players Association. I think they worked with the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. They have experience. If I heard this right, I was listening to a podcast on the way home that talked about these guys. I'm pretty sure this group, it's going to be kind of up to them. They've worked with the NFL or they've worked with EA, something like that. There's some kind of relationship there. But it looks like, again, at least we know the NIL stuff. Looks like they've got it figured out. If a player does not want to be in the game, EA Sports would create – here's where I have questions. EA Sports would create a generic avatar and player in that athlete's place. That's coming. I'm pretty sure that's out of the EA representative's mouth. He did not say that players or us, not the actual college football player, but the players at home playing the game on console. Nowhere does it say you can edit your roster. That still gives me concern. That still gives me some concern because one of the best things about even Madden back in the day, not so much these days because Madden sucks these days, but I've been playing the newest one. What was it, Madden 23 or whatever, the last one that came out. It's not horrible. It's still not a great Madden game. I think the last good Madden that I've played was like Madden 20 was okay, but it seems like every other year they might have a decent one or maybe one's a little bit better than the other. Some feel a little bit more glitchy and whatever. Hopefully this one's done right. But you can at least, and I can remember it being really fun. Now it's kind of a chore on Madden to go in and edit players. You could do it, but it's just, it's not as smooth as it once was. But you can still edit players on Madden. And you used to be able to do that on NCAA, the franchise game from all the way from the beginning, as far as I remember. You've always been able to edit those players. Nowhere does it say you can do that. Nowhere in this article does it say that editing that I read. I did skim through it pretty quick, and I listened to a podcast on the way home yesterday. If you can't edit your roster, that's going to be a major bummer, even with the player's, name, image, and likeliness represented on the game. Because you're going to play, if you're like me, you're going to play 5, 6, 7, maybe a decade. I rarely ever got to a decade. I usually got to like 8 years, and then I got bored, and then I would go build up some other shitty program, and try to build them from the ground up. But you're going to recruit players, and sometimes you if you were like me, you were looking up Rivals, Scout, 247 didn't really come along, but I'm talking about like 08, 09, 2010, before 247 came along. But you're looking up Rivals, Scout, you're looking up these players, you're putting them in the system, whatever, you're putting them on rosters. If you can't do that, if they're only going to just make their own players, if you're not able to customize your roster, that's going to suck ass. And that gives me very little hope for this game. Now, I don't know. Again, I skimmed through this nowhere, and I read it. I kind of read it really quick this morning. I've been swamped. This week has just been absolutely nuts. But as they always are, you guys often hear me complain about it. It's always crazy here. But I don't think they've come out and said that you can edit your roster. Again, that's a problem. For me, that's a huge problem. And I'm going to go as far as to say it's going to make me hesitate wanting to buy the game if I cannot edit my roster. That's cool they got the NIL involved, but let me edit my freaking roster. And here's the other thing. How many players? It sounds like they're going to try and scan. They're going to try and 3D scan these players' faces. In the NFL, that's one thing. how big is the roster and how many teams are there? There's 32 teams in the NFL. It's a 53-man roster. I think you're allowed 2 players off the practice squad. So what does that put you at? 55 players per team, roughly. It's a little bit easier to do when you're talking about 130-plus college football programs. Like, obviously, they're not going to get everybody's NIL. They're not going to get everybody's name, image, and likeliness out there. And again, they're going to replace, it sounds like they might replace quite a few of them with just generic players that maybe are randomly created. But, yeah, there's a lot of questions still with this. I'm happy that we got this far with it. I'm happy they got as far with the, talking about the NIL stuff. Something else that they talked about, I didn't have time, and, of course, I closed it out. It sounds like the dynasty mode is a big deal to them, which is very good to hear, which is all I play, online or offline. That's what it's all about. I don't do all the extra shit they put in these games. The card game they do on Madden, I could give 2 shits about. I've never played it. I don't care for it. I want to play online or offline Dynasty. That's what I want to do. And it sounds like EA is going to make that a big deal for the next version. And by the way, it's not called, and we've talked about this before, it's no longer going to be called NCAA. They've removed the name NCAA, and it's going to be called EA College Football. I guess it'll be called 25 because, you're not going to see it until 2024. So they always name it the year that football season ends, and that's why the number kind of throws people off a little bit, because it's when the year concludes is why it has the following year's number. That's why it's represented. So it'll be EA's College Football 2025 or 25, whatever. I'm looking forward to it if I can edit my roster. Now, will I probably still buy it even if I can't? I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know that I don't know. I say that. I probably will pre-order it. I don't know, but it does make me hesitate, and it makes me think, well, wait a minute. If I cannot edit my freaking roster, what are we doing here? I'm behind on the video. Oh, no, you're fine. Ty, will they be making an NCAA basketball game? My assumption is they are. That ought to be a lot easier to make, right? I think what they're going to do is, I feel like what they're going to do is this is going to be, this will be kind of their kind of dipping their toe in the water. We've never seen anything like this. Not when, they're going to have to cut checks to all the players whose NIL is involved in the game. That money obviously decreases with the more players that are added to the game. So I think they're kind of dipping their toe in the water to see where this sets them financially, how much money they can actually make off the game, and also legally what they can get away with, right? I think they're kind of testing the waters. This is kind of the I don't know. It kind of feels like a crash dummy test in a way in this new era of college athletics, because so much has changed and it affects all levels of college, in men's side of things, women too, but you know what I mean? Definitely financially more on the men's side of things when you've got baseball and football and basketball when you're talking about the NIL. And women have benefited from the NIL as well. So, but how they go about, I don't know how much of the NIL is going to be involved in the game, but what about the portal, right? What does that look like? How do they implement that into the game? But again, also with what they can get away with legally, like what they can do within the confines of the legal way of making this game without putting a game out and getting sued. And that makes you wonder too. You had the Ed O'Bannon case, which is why a big part of the reason why we no longer got the game, any of the college games, why EA said, forget it, we're not going to deal with it. Again, you could still fire up NCAA 14 and download rosters. They never shut those servers off. So it always makes me wonder, why didn't they just put out a game with just generic players and then allow the players to go in and edit and customize their rosters, right? Makes you wonder. They never came out and said we can't legally make this game. I think they kind of wonder if anybody really wants a game where you don't have the NIL. And so here we are in this era of gaming and college athletics. I think this is them testing the waters and seeing what they can get away with. There were previous articles saying the portal would be a big recruiting aspect. I mean, right? I mean, you would assume that to be the case. I'm looking forward to destroying everyone in Discord when this game drops in an online dynasty. Didn't you talk the same amount of shit in Madden, John, and then lose to somebody in Discord? I mean, you're flapping your gums, bro. Have all the FBS teams actually signed up for this now? No. Right now, God, I have 5,000 tabs once again. Right now, it's 120. It's 120 teams. Now, here's what's crazy, and this is a good thing, if I can find it. Nope. I must have passed it. Shit. Here we go. I found it. Okay. When EA Sports announced the return of its college football series in 2021, questions surrounding name, image, and likeliness were among the biggest it needed to answer. At the time, Notre Dame was among a small number of schools that indicated through statements or news reports that it would not agree to participate until NIL compensation was worked out. Much has happened since many of those declarations, including the passage of NIL legislation and college athletes making money off their NIL. Following Wednesday's agreement, officials at Wisconsin, Northwestern, TCU, Fresno State, and Tulane said their schools would now opt into the game. A Notre Dame source told ESPN on Wednesday that the school had been in touch with EA Sports to help with NIL integration for the video game. I don't know, it doesn't seem, though, that Notre Dame has made a decision on being in the game. One team, here we go. One team, which is partnerships with players' unions, including the NFLPA, MLSPA, blah, 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 all these different associations, has previously worked with EA Sports on the Madden football and FIFA and now EA Sports FC franchises. So there's that. So we know that, yeah, that was right. And one team has, in fact, worked with those organizations before. So you're going to have someone somewhat familiar with NIL and how to work through that. So that's a good thing. But Wisconsin, Northwestern, TCU, Fresno State, and Tulane apparently have now opted in. I don't know why Notre Dame wouldn't at this point. I mean, they are now doing exactly the thing that Notre Dame said, hey, we're not going to be involved in this unless you do the NIL thing, and they're doing it. So I don't know what Notre Dame's doing. I think that would be a pretty big blow to EA. I think EA is going to do everything they can to bring Notre Dame into the fold. You may say, well, who cares? Notre Dame isn't what they once were. No, but that is a massive brand. The Notre Dame, that little fighting Irish logo, their mascot, all that, the whole, their whole look, everything about Notre Dame is one of the biggest brands in all of sports, not just college sports. So, yeah, that's a big deal for them to bring Notre Dame into the fold, and they know that. I think maybe that's what's going on. The question for me is how much are these players going to make? Of course, EA doesn't. They're not going to answer that. We will probably know a lot more about that in the next couple of years as as that information starts to surface. But I wonder, man, I mean, with all these players getting involved, with everybody wanting their NIL out there, and then wanting to be compensated, and I don't blame them, of course. Why wouldn't you? With all that out there, I don't know that they could pay all these kids a shit ton of money. I don't know. Maybe they pay, the All-Americans and the Heismans and the guys at the top. Maybe the guys that are most recognizable, that bring more value to the brand, maybe those guys get the bigger checks, and then, it just kind of goes down from there. Kind of trickles down from there. I think that seems to me like the most logical way that they would probably do that. And another thing, too, that's really cool to think about, you can recall back when that franchise was still around, you could only put the players on the cover or even the players on the back of the case. Now, cases are kind of a thing of the past. I get it. But, you can now slap a current player who's still in college football or still playing. You could slap them on the cover now. Or you can make them, when you fire up the game, of course that logo pops up, their face can now be there. And how cool is that? I mean, imagine being 19, 20 years old and, you get to see your face when you fire up on your PS5 EA's college football, and there's maybe your face pops up or whatever, or you're a part of that video montage that rolls at the beginning. How cool is that? So, good news if you're really into this. I know some of you could give two shits about this. For me, as someone who obviously there's a video game aesthetic to some of the stuff that I do. If you've been listening to my edited content, I put in Star Fox sound effects. I'm a gamer. I don't deny that. I'll be 80 years old. I won't make it to 80, but I'll be old and fat and play. Well, okay, I don't know if I'll be old and fat. I don't know if those two things always work out, but I will. If I make it to be old, I'll be playing video games. Okay, that's part of my generation. That's a big part of being. I guess technically, I'm a zillennial or a millennial. I don't know. Born in '83. Do with that what you will. But that's a part of our generation. Is video games. Really excited for this. This is a big part of this whole thing in fact, when I first started doing YouTube content, my original idea was to mesh gaming with Razorback athletics. And eventually I abandoned doing gaming and stuck with just Razorback content, but not because, not the only reason why I stopped doing that was because I just wanted to focus on Razorback sports. So when that does come around, when that does release, and it sounds like probably June or July of 2024, I definitely will have something in place where maybe I play the game, I stream it, maybe I'm over on Twitch, maybe I'm here doing it. That will definitely be something that happens. I've thought about doing that for Madden, but I know there's a large percentage of you're only really Cowboy fans, or you don't give a shit about, or Chiefs fans, or you don't care about the NFL. This is something that reflects the Razorbacks college football. Of course, I'll probably try to implement that into what I do here. So Notre Dame would lose a recruiting edge. I don't know about that. I mean, they're still a recognizable brand. People still want to play at Notre Dame, whether you're Catholic or not. But I do think, why would you want to miss out on what could be a recruiting tool, right? I don't know why you wouldn't want to be a part of that. That's just crazy to me. And also, are you going around, if you're a school that's opting out, if you still don't want to be a part of this, even after this NIL stuff, are you actually polling your players and asking them their thoughts? What about the coaching staff? Or is this just you trying to I don't know, do the virtue signaling bullshit that we see so often? Is that what this is? I mean, or if your players really want to be a part of this, why not let them? What's the harm in letting them be a part of it if the majority of them want to do it? I don't know. You just never know these days. I don't care about the NFL except Burks, and that's usually the case, right? That's usually the case. Razorback fans just don't care about the NFL. Of course I do, and the NBA, and Major League Baseball. I love sports. I don't know. All right. Notre Dame needs to grow a set and join a conference. I agree, Philip. Look at Philip in here dropping bombs. Look at you. That is going to do it. I do appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. This offseason is going to be, there's still a lot to cover. I don't expect, it is what it is. The offseason is what it is. For me, it's brutal. I'm probably going to have some videos where, we might venture outside more of Razorback content a little bit. And I'm going to try and get you guys, like I said, the goal is edited content. Now, I am having problems on my computer. This thing is, I don't know, what is it now? 8 years old? It's old. Everything in it's outdated. I'm having issues rendering videos now. I don't know if you noticed. I'm just going to come out and say it. That last video, it's a little choppy. The frame rate's weird. I don't know what the hell's going on. The video before that was sound issues. I think I have that solved. So there may be a week or two where I may not have any edited content. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why a live stream I come through loud and clear and the picture's fine, and why edited content comes out the way it has lately. I do apologize for that. No one's pointed it out, but I did talk with a couple other people who I sent them the video, and they saw it. They said it wasn't a real big deal. But to me it is, because I am a freaking perfectionist, and that shit drives me insane. So I'm going to try and correct that. And it's probably video editing software issues. So I may be uninstalling some stuff and reinstalling. But anyways, I'm going to keep trying to push as much Razorback content to you guys as I can. So one last bomb. There's a man in Austin, Texas, holding an 18-year-old man hostage. All right. There's that. No baseball. We kind of covered it a little bit earlier. I mean, Arkansas plays Vanderbilt tonight. Game 2, 7 o'clock. Looks like it's on ESPN Network. Arkansas got a good win yesterday, 8-2. I mean, that's really all there is to say about it. I mean, I do know there is a pathway to winning the SEC West. I wasn't going to go over that too much until it actually happened. There is a part of me, even though I'm not the most I'm not a real super believer in jinxes and whatnot, but I feel like if I say something, I've been blamed for jinxing. You know, I will say there's a path to Arkansas winning. Of course there is, right? It's the last week of the season. There's a path to Arkansas winning the SEC West outright, and I guess it's going to have something really to do with what Florida does and what Arkansas does these next 2 games. But there's a path there that they could take the whole thing and not just share it, it looks like. So, yeah, that's it. I think we got it. Oh, you're talking about Ron Holland. Oh, my God. My bad. Yeah, Ron Holland. Okay. I haven't even had basketball on my radar the last several days. Yeah, you're right. The University of Texas is holding Holland hostage. Not literally, but kind of, right? If Arkansas wins tonight, they win the West and the season title. Okay, but does it not matter on what happens with Florida? Like, doesn't Florida need to lose a game? I mean, I think if Arkansas sweeps, then they win the whole thing, right? Like, if they sweep, it's a no-doubter. I don't know, Phillip. Let's just see where the cards fall. Let's see where the cookie crumbles, right? Let's wait till the cookie crumbles. I don't want to jinx anything. But, yeah, it looks like. And, by the way, this is the 4th time in Dave Van Horn's career that he's hit 20 wins. How cool is that? Does he have it in him to win the whole thing? I don't know. We are a half game up, and if they win tonight, it's a lock. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Phillip says tonight it's a lock. All right. I'll buy it. Phillip's dropping bombs today, so why not? Good stuff. All right, I'll see you guys probably on Monday. Unless we have breaking news with Ron Holland or if anything happens, obviously then that'll be a little bit different. But until then, I'll see you guys around. Go be good. Have a good weekend. Enjoy it.